Fiancé cheated and planned something so horrible, I can't believe it. I'm male 28, really enraged right now. I just returned from a long-term deployment abroad and discovered that my fiancé, female 24, had been cheating on me the whole time. That's terrible enough, but things get much, much worse. She contracted herpes from the other guy, and I hope you're sitting. Her goal was to infect me as well, giving me an excuse not to dump her. Are you serious? Can somebody explain her logic to me? She was trying so hard to lure me into bed. Normally, she allows me a few days to recover from jet lag before initiating intimate. But this time she was talking nasty, cam girl dirty. She never does that, and jumping into my lap in the parking garage. She's usually extremely discreet about physical love. Something didn't seem quite right, so I told her I wanted to rest after my long travel. This sparked a massive brawl on the way home, which escalated into a full-fledged shouting war once we arrived, replete with her destroying stuff. I didn't understand what was going on and told her I was going to contact the cops so she could be locked up for her own good. And that's when she admitted she cheated on me with a man she met on Tinder. She admitted it was a mistake, apologized, and asked me to forgive her. I simply gazed at her, trying to catch my breath. I told her she needed to go and give me some space, but she dropped to the floor and grabbed my legs, telling me that I couldn't send her out, that I could forgive her if we could just make love. I asked to know why it was so crucial. In between shouting, weeping, and yelling, she claimed she had herpes, that dumping her would destroy her life, and that it was my fault since I wouldn't have with her right then and there. I felt like there were a million insects crawling all over me. I grabbed my keys and walked away. I'm at a hotel now, and she's blowing up my phone, messaging me that herpes isn't a big issue, that having it together would make us a stronger marriage, and that we could even share medicine. She put a laughing face emoji after that line. I believe she is going nuts. We've been dating for 5 years, engaged for a year, and I have no idea of who she is. I've had many showers and still get the sensation that bugs are crawling all over me. I can't even shut my eyes or turn off the lights. Has anybody dealt with a situation like this before? What on earth was she thinking? What am I meant to do now? Update. Of course, the relationship has come to an end. That was never in doubt, and I sincerely apologize if anything in my prior reply gave the impression that it was. In response to my need for help in untangling myself from my now ex-fiancé, many of you wrote comments and or sent messages with recommendations for what I should do next to detangle myself from my now ex-fiancé. Those of you who warned me not to come home straight quickly were right, and I appreciate you. However, after reading your comments, I immediately phoned her cousin, the closest relative who lives nearby, and informed her of what had happened. She was really grateful. She didn't believe me at first, but when she got to our home, she saw my ex-fiancé looking at the wall, incoherent with hundreds of our photographs torn up all around her. The cousin was able to get her some aid. She called 911, and a very compassionate police officer came with a social worker, and they were able to have my ex-fiancé into a mental institution with him. The police officer I talked with indicated it was okay for me to go back home and clean up the mess. He took pictures for his report. Also suggested by him was that I acquire a temporary restraining order to keep her away from me, which I did today and am now awaiting the outcome of the court, and that her cousin be placed in conservatorship since her ex-fiancé is in such poor health. The lawyer I contacted with about the protection order reminded me that it is a crime in our county to intentionally infect someone, or even try to infect someone, with a transmitted disease, STD. But the key phrase is legal purpose. Because of her mental condition, the district attorney's office is unlikely to file charges against her. To be quite honest, I'd rather that she get mental health treatment rather than being charged with a crime. My buddies came over and cleaned up our home, which is now my place. They wouldn't allow me do anything, just tell me to relax. I ended up sleeping for a total of 10 hours straight. The problem is that I now have more time to reflect. There are so many questions that remain unanswered. It didn't help that her cousin showed over to grab the engagement ring. All of my ex-possessions fiancés were taken away when she was hospitalized. I was taken aback by the fact that I was holding the ring in my hand in my palm. Now, I'm always depressed, which is especially troubling given the amount of time I spend away from home on missions. It is part of my job description to provide assistance to people in some of the world's most impoverished locations. When I am there, I become numb, and the numbness continues for a week or two after I return. Depression is a common reason for people to leave their jobs in my place of employment. Is it time for me to hunt for another job? Perhaps I had placed too high a value on her performance. What kind of woman could put up with that? After everything was said and done, I had a few minutes and wanted to express my appreciation to everyone who assisted me in remaining cool when everything went horribly wrong. Thank you so much for your assistance. Story 2. I broke up after 11 years. Met new girl after being 1 year single and now in love, but still miss my ex. As the title says, I terminated my relationship with my ex-boyfriend after 11 and almost 12 years of being in a relationship together. We had already broken up 2 years before, but this time it was for good. We essentially had a lot of unnecessarily heated arguments on her side because she was envious of our success. In the past, when I washed before going somewhere, she questioned why I showered and for whom, or when I checked my phone almost every day, she inquired as to how I got the scratch, or when on my chest, she felt anxious about it, and other similar things have happened. That in no way implies that she was a bad person. She was quite caring and showed a great deal of affection for me, and she continues to do so. She is attractive and of the same ethnicity as me, Latina/Latino. She had always said that she didn't want anybody else in her life, and that she would wait for me to return while I was gone. To put it another way, we've been through a lot together and had a lot of amazing moments and experiences along the way. At the time, I was 17 and she was 16 years old. It is not everyone who can claim to have been alive for almost 12 years. Let's move on quickly. I met this really stunning Hindi lady. She's very nice, beautiful, and if I'm lucky, compassionate, all at the same time. Her mother and closest friends were introduced to me. We now sleep together at her mother's house. Her mother is really fond of me, and we have really amazing, so everything is okay. Our relationship has not yet begun. I told her from the beginning that I did not want to rush into a new relationship. Not that I don't want to, but let's see how things go. Despite this, I still have strong feelings for my ex-boyfriend. It is impossible for me to not think about her every time I hear or see Spanish music or the country where we spent a lot of time together. So now I'm in a position where I'm unsure of what to do or what is the best course of action. Although this new woman is aware of my ex-girlfriend and is aware that I still care for her in a positive way at the current time, she is oblivious of the fact that I still miss her. As a result, I'm at a loss on what to do at this point. It would be unjust to the new woman if I didn't give us a chance. She deserves it since she is such a nice and good person, not to mention that she is really attractive. However, whenever I think of my ex, I feel the same emotions as if it had been 12 years and she didn't deserve a second chance at happiness. One part of me says this, while another part of me says something else. I really desire this new woman, but I'm not sure what to do about the situation. Occasionally, I ponder the possibility that she may have jealousy problems after a year. After that, I ended up breaking up with my ex because of the same reason. Of course, we all have our flaws, including myself. It's tough to put into words. Please know that any ideas, support, or advice you may provide would be much welcomed.